Greetings, vinyl community. This will be a quick video, just a couple of records that I picked up last night on a trip to San Francisco to hear some music. And boy, was it freezing cold in San Francisco last night. I know those of you who live in states where it literally does get freezing are going to go, pfft, you don't know what cold is in California. But by California standards, it was cold, and I was wearing my thickest jacket, and it wasn't enough. And of course, on Market Street, I passed by some guy who was running around in nothing but underpants and shoes. So that's San Francisco for you. But I did make a score, and the first record I have to show is, in fact, Score. The 1977 album Score by Duncan McKay, recorded in 1976, when Duncan McKay was a member of Steve Harley's Cockney Rebel. He also, around this time in the following years, played on all the early Kate Bush albums and joined 10cc in the post-Godley and Cream formation. So he was in the band when they did Dreadlock Holiday, the I Don't Like Reggae, I Love It song. And he is a keyboard wizard on this album, this very proggy second album from Duncan McKay. Although it sounds nothing at all like King Crimson, it has a lot of King Crimson connections. It's produced by John Wetton, who also does lead vocals on a couple of tracks. It's mostly instrumental album, however. It does also have vocals on one track by Steve Harley, Mr. McKay's boss from the main band. It also has drums by Andy McCulloch, who was the drummer on King Crimson's Lizard album. And if you saw the very effusive video I did about that album a few years ago, then you know that's a big favorite of mine. And one track, in fact it's the same one with the Steve Harley vocals, has flute by Mel Collins. But the music on here is, well, obviously more keyboard-oriented than King Crimson, which was never an organ and synthesizer type of band. It's a little closer to Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Rick Wakeman, but not as aggressive as ELP. Still very composed, and with a lot of humor to it. The particular favorite track of mine on this is the track Pillow Schmillow on side 2, which has great vocals from John Wetton, but a kind of bouncy, oompa kind of rhythm bed to it that doesn't sound unlike something that 10cc would do, even though this predates his joining that band, except that it's in 7 time, so that puts it right back in that proggy wheelhouse. The album, being called Score, has a score on the back, and this is in fact the opening track, an orchestral piece that gives it a very classical feeling that again links up with that ELP prog type of world. There's an inner sleeve with a sort of glamour shot of Mr. McKay there and some notes and lyrics. And this is on the EMI label. And along with that, I picked up this album on the Angel label, part of the Music Today series of then contemporary sounds from the 20th century. This is a 1968 release under the heading New Sounds from Paris. And there are 3 composers on here, all of whom are sort of French. They're actually all multinational composers. Betsy Jola is the first, and she was born in France, but to American parents, and she has always maintained a dual French-American citizenship. She is still with us at age 97. Her piece on this album is Quatuor deux, or second quartet, for soprano voice plus violin, viola, and cello. So her idea is to use the voice not to sing a poetic setting or anything like that, but just as another instrumental color. So the singing doesn't include any words. It's all just phonetics and carefully guided different pronunciations of the syllables that are used. So it's voice used in a purely musical way, but not just the kind of wordless ah type of vocalese singing. Very nice piece, and that's followed by a little more thorny work by the Greek, French, Romanian composer Iannis Xenakis. Xenakis was actually born in Romania. He's usually considered Greek. He spent his early youth in Romania, born to Greek parents, and then his teens and early 20s in Greece. But that includes the years of World War II, during which he was a radical revolutionary. He was part of the resistance against the Nazi occupation of Greece. Greece was divided up by the Axis powers into a German section, an Italian section, and a Bulgarian section, and Xenakis was part of the left-wing resistance to that occupation. But then when Greece was liberated and the British were assisting in reestablishing the monarchy, he was part of the communist movement fighting against that in the Greek Civil War that followed World War II. So he was a hardcore guy. He was a badass. He was a street-fighting man. He was maimed and half-blinded in an explosion fighting against the British. That also meant he eventually had to leave the country because, spoiler alert, the communists lost. And he was going to be in big trouble if he stuck around. So he fled to France, which is where his base of operations was for the rest of his life. But he was a highly intellectual man, not only a composer, but an architect, a mathematician, and an engineer, and he brings all of those disciplines to play in his music. I really cannot understand what's said in the liner notes about the piece on here, which is titled Herma, and it's a solo piano piece, very spiky and made up of classes of sounds that I can't really tell you anything about, but it's cool stuff to listen to. And finally, side 2 is devoted to 2 versions of Archipel 1 by the Bulgarian-born French composer Andrei Bukurekliev. And this is for 2 pianos and 54 percussion instruments. That sounds pretty wild, but it's only 2 percussion players. So you're not hearing 54 percussion instruments going all at once. But that would be wild. I would love to compose a piece for 54 percussionists. If anybody wants to fund that, let me know. That would be epic. But this is really nice as it is, because there's a lot of color happening when you've got 54 different percussion instruments that the 2 players are probably whirling around and frantically grabbing up and putting down. some of the other items on the Angel Records series of Music Today. There's the old blue Angel label. So that's it. Thanks very much for watching. Be well. Talk with you again soon. Bye-bye for now.